Welcome to Throwback Thursday, where I take a video that I've had posted for some time, remix it, clean it up, make it more presentable to you. And then in this episode of Throwback Thursday, I took the video that talks about turbos and what goes wrong with them and how they function a little bit, cleaned it up, brought it to you. Now, unless you're living under some kind of rock, if you're driving a fuel powered vehicle that you go to the gas station and gas up, more and more of these vehicles are being manufactured with turbo systems. The turbocharger is the way that engine gets its air. It needs air to mix with the fuel and spark to produce power. The reason more of these cars are being made with turbochargers is because you can make a smaller engine produce the same power as a larger engine if you equip it with a turbo. With that in mind, you got to learn how to take care of a car that has a turbo, let it warm up, let it cool down, make sure you keep your oil changed. You also got to know the symptoms of when your turbo is going bad, so you don't be getting bad information from somebody. An example, I bought a car one day for $260 because the guy was told that it needed a $3,000 turbo. He didn't want to put $3,000 into the car. The fact of the matter was there was a break in the air system of the turbo, which was causing the car not to get enough air because it wasn't sealed up properly. It was a $200 fix. And, it's just, he got bad information. So this video will help you understand what can go wrong with a turbo, how to tell if you got a turbo that's going bad. So hopefully it'll give you better understanding of what you're dealing with. I appreciate you watching. If you need to get in touch with me directly because you have some kind of question or need, you have to watch the information at the end of the video. It'll give you that. And I appreciate everybody's support. Hope you have a great day. In this video, I want to talk about what actually goes wrong with the turbo. I'm specifically focusing on the turbo itself and not the things that attach to it, although it may be considered part of the assembly. Now, this turbo, of course, came out of a Volvo. I believe it's a Mitsubishi turbo, and there's the part number of it. It's a 13T, which is a low pressure designed smaller turbo. On top of it, it has a Wastegate actuator, which you see here, the arm there, and the actual actuator itself. And on this side of it, you see the bypass or blow-off valve that's mounted to it as well. Other than that, you see a couple of vacuum tubes. Usually an exhaust flange is mounted here so you don't see the exhaust turbine, and you have a couple of lines attached to it. This line is a coolant line that's used to cool it, and then you have ports for oil line intake, and then a oil line exhaust, and then a coolant line exhaust, which is used for cooling and lubricating the turbo. As the car is running, the exhaust gases hits this turbine and spins it, whether you're boosting or not, and that of course spins the intake side of it, where the intake tube goes into the turbo as soon as it comes in focus here. So while the exhaust side is turning, the intake side is turning as well. It's pulling in fresh air there, and it's pushing out pressure through that port there that eventually comes out the top and over to your eventually the throttle body and into the intake manifold to pressurize that. Back to what actually goes wrong with it, the actual turbo part itself. And I believe it's basically two things. One, the shaft wears over time because of old age or abuse. And number two, it could actually be starved of oil or coolant and seize up the shaft. I'm going to show you a video of one that was seized up, maybe from over boosting or from just failure to lubricate, but this one, as you can see, spins freely. Basically, you have three symptoms of a bad turbo. One is, the most common, is that you get a lot of smoke out of your exhaust, usually all the time. It's not an occasional thing Whenever you're boosting, driving along, oil is going through your turbo, lubricating the shaft, coming out of the drain port, going back to the oil pan. But if the shaft is worn, or the seal in here of some sort, it can cause oil to get by the shaft, come out the shaft of the exhaust side of it, and leak down into your exhaust system, thus causing a continual smoking situation. It's not that it'll smoke once a day, once a week. It's that every time you drive, you'll see a puff of smoke. And when it gets really bad, you'll actually have a smoke stream and probably not be boosting as well. The shaft and or seal can also wear on the other side of the turbo where the compressor wheel is, and if it leaks that side, it'll blow that oil through your turbo piping and into your intake and get into the engine that way. I went and looked at this Volvo XC90. I think it might have been an '04 model. I went, started it, drove it. It smoked the whole time, and when I put my foot in it, it smoked even more. And being a twin turbo vehicle, it had absolutely no pickup. It kind of reminded me of my old Red Block 740 GLEs. Another symptom is that your car is not boosting as it should. The higher your demand, the faster this backside of the turbine spins, the more that it will allow it to boost. Well, if normally your car is boosting at 8 psi and now it will only boost at 5 or 4, it may be that because of the wear of your turbine shaft that it's just not able to spin as fast as it's supposed to. Let's say, for instance, to maintain an 8 psi boost, it will need to be spinning at 15,000 RPMs. Well, if it's only spinning at 8,000 RPMs because of the wear, then you're not going to get the boost that you need. So, low boosting and sometimes accompanied by noise from the turbo will let you know that your turbo is wearing. So if you're experiencing a lot of smoke and you suspect it may be your turbo and it may be accompanied by lower boost levels, you can check this shaft play by pulling the intake side of the tube off, reaching down in to the intake and taking your fingers and see if you could wiggle or move that shaft. So I'm going to do it on the exhaust side, but this is what you want to do on the intake side because that's easily accessed. With your finger down in the intake port, and you want to do this with the motor closed, of course, you put your fingers on the blade and you try to wiggle the shaft, trying to get it to pivot back and forth to see if you can feel any back and forth shaft play. Also, you can spin it to see how smooth it spins and see how it feels. It should feel like a very smooth fluid motion. And finally, you want to try to pull it in and out. See if you have any in and out shaft play. This turbo here has literally, I can't feel any in and out shaft play. I can't feel any wiggling back and forth, although there may be a very tiny bit, which is acceptable, and it spins really smooth. So from my perspective, this turbo is in very good condition. Last but not least, you could actually have a shaft seize up, usually because of excessive wear or lack of lubrication. You can have a turbine blade get damaged with a piece of foreign material. You can have a turbine blade get bent or warped, or you can actually have one of these come loose, which is very, very rare. Here's an 850 in the salvage yard that I suspected was here because of a failed wastegate on the turbo. The reason I say that is the wastegate looked pretty new on it and there was no body damage to the car, and the car was here in the salvage yard. My initial thoughts was get the wastegate actuator off of it So I pulled the pin out of the wastegate on the exhaust flange. Then I pulled the hose off of it. I put my thumb on it and I pulled the wastegate actuator arm, and I could hear it breathing as if the wastegate actuator diaphragm was torn. Someone came here thinking that, hey, I could get a turbo off of this car because it may have been good. Well, I found the turbo laying beside the vehicle a few days later, and when I grabbed a hold of the turbo, I cannot turn this shaft. And this is where the exhaust flange mounts onto, and the exhaust air hits this turbine, and this turbine is seized up. So this motor may not have been blown. It could have lower end damage, I don't know. But for sure, this turbo blew up because it either was starved of the oil or coolant, or the wastegate actuator failed and it overspun and caused it to seize up. So this is a seized up turbo. That is one thing that can go wrong with them. If for some strange reason something goes through your intake or your exhaust, or you throw a little chip of a valve or something like that, it could come through your exhaust manifold, hit this exhaust turbine and chip it or break it or something like that, and then your blades will be damaged. But that's very rare and you'll have other issues. If you look at these blades closely, you'll see that one or two of these little exhaust blades are bent. That could be from somebody dropping it or banging it into something since it's been pulled from the car, or hitting it with a wrench or something like that. Same goes for the intake side. Somebody could drop a screw or something. It can go down in there, catch one of these turbine blades and chip it or bend it, but that's very rare. I'll link a video below that'll show you how some people modify these turbos in other turbo related videos. So do look at the about comments and find those links below. And just for review, here's your wastegate actuator. This wastegate actuator, when the vehicle senses that the turbo is near its programmed boost, it'll pressurize this actuator. A diaphragm in here will extend this wastegate arm, open up the wastegate on the exhaust flange, and bleed off some of the turbo pressure so that the turbo is not over boosting. You got your bypass valve here. This bypass valve has a diaphragm in it that allows you to hold boost pressure. It is set to a certain spring and physical pressure that it will allow pressure to bleed off the excessive boost and route the excessive air into the intake or somewhere else. Now, if this is defective, it won't allow the vehicle to build boost pressure normally, because the most common thing is the diaphragm is torn. So you could take these 3 bolts off, take that diaphragm out, and inspect it for tears, stuff like that. There's a link below about it. Also, this blow-off valve acts as a quick release of pressure for the turbo. For instance, if you're going up a hill or you're putting a lot of pressure on it, you have boost built up to the maximum, and all of a sudden you let off the gas, demanding no or very little turbo pressure. Well, this turbo is spinning at a high RPM, is still producing pressure, and that all of a sudden release of the need will close the throttle body, and this tubing system will be building up excessive pressure until that turbo speed spins down, and this bypass valve will open up. Some people call it a blow-off valve. It'll open up to quickly release the pressure off of the turbo system so that it doesn't get damaged or damage the motor. So there you have it. The most common things is for the shaft to wear out, or bearings in it to wear out. If it has bearings, you'll get shaft play, wiggle, or in and out, and they smoke when they get bad. And if they have a total failure, which is extreme damage of the blade system, or the shaft seize, you will not get any boost pressure at all, which will basically cripple the vehicle. If a vehicle is designed to operate with a turbo and this turbo system seizes up, it will cause the car to be starved of intake air, and the car may only drive 10 or 20 miles an hour without this turbo system working. If you made it this far, I trust that you found some information that was either useful or entertaining, so go ahead and hit the like button. And if you would like notification of future videos that I post, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. You can follow me on other social media apps by looking for @RobertDIY. Some form of that should bring up the other channels that I have on places like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. If for some reason you need some more personal help, go to my website at robertdiy.com and use the phone number that I have posted there to send me a text message, or you can email me. If you have questions or comments, please make a comment below. And if you'd like to make some kind of financial contribution to what I got going on here, go to my channel and hit the more link at the end of the introduction statement, and it'll show you different ways that you can support me financially. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.